You are watching a Vision Media broadcast. I am your host, Tommy Slaughter. This is home of the golden era. And tonight we have an iconic, legendary group. This is Breakwater from Philadelphia. How you doing, fellas?
What's going on?
How's everybody?
Great. And I'm happy now, more happy that I have you guys on the show, because the last time you was here in Philly, you was at the Dell Music Center, right?
Okay.
Doing your thing at the Dell.
Yeah, that was fun, man.
Yep. Breakwater is a funk band from Philadelphia, formed in 1971. The band released 2 albums, Breakwater in 1978 and Splashdown in 1980. Right?
Yep.
Fellas, can you please first I want to know, like, who were the original members and how many were there in the band at the time?
Let's see.
8.
Yeah, I guess you have to say 8 of us. Yeah, 8 of us. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the original, because I know everyone is not together like from that time. It's different, from now.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. When we got back together, which was
reunited.
Was that 2008? Steve, was that about when we got back together? Maybe.
Yeah, I think
around that time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess out of the 8, 6 of us.
6.
And then we augmented the band. With horn.
Oh no, there's not 6.
Was it 6? Or just
it was 5? 5, yeah.
I thought I might have been over.
Okay. And I'm sorry. Can you take me back? Sorry, that was the volume. Can we talk about the group and how the Breakwater come together? Like, how did that happen? Just bringing everything together like that.
Great. Well, Gene, why don't you go? Because Gene can go back, because Breakwater, before we got together and became a recording act, the band got together originally in what, 70?
Like, around the period he was around high school. So that was 72, 73, like right after. Wow. Yeah. Around that period of time. But are you from Philly? Where you from?
Philly, yeah.
You're from Philly. So I don't know exactly your age.
Well, I'm 48.
Okay. So
they put
in our time,
no, it's all good.
In our time, it was like there were bands. There weren't like DJs doing shows the way there are now. There were actual bands.
Okay.
And in your community, if there were players and musicians around, you try to mesh up with them and form a band. And that's kind of like
every neighborhood had a band.
Exactly. That's right. Yeah. That's kind of how we did that.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. Was it the same way like gangs? Every neighbor had a gang. Every neighbor had a band. Was it like
that? Kind of, sort of, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, guys don't do that. They don't do that these days. It's a different musical time, but so that's what we did. We would travel across the city, as far as we had to rehearse and that kind of thing until we got like where we wanted to go. And then we would, instead of DJs playing at cabarets and shows, we would actually show up and play an hour-and-a-half show. Another band might be 2 or 3 of us, 2 or 3 bands.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember Raw Soul, not Raw Soul, but
Soul Dividance. Soul Dividance.
Soul Dividance. And what's Fred's old group called? I forget.
Brutus. Raw Image.
And those groups. Yeah.
Wow.
So we all came up and we all played. But that's kind of how that started for us.
Yeah, so back then it was more of bands. There was a lot of bands going on back then.
That was it, man. Yeah. And like the neighborhood, you had the band, and the folks in the neighborhood would support the band. It'd be like, it'd be like the neighborhood band, and so. And then they had battle of the band, gigs,
exactly,
shows. They call them battle of the bands. So
battle of the bands.
Yeah.
You know what I find interesting? I'm gonna ask you a question. Everybody played bands back then. Did you guys go to school to do that, or was it just a learning thing on the streets? Like how was that?
It was a combination. A combination. Most folks, started playing music in school system, in the orchestra, or you get an instrument that way.
Exactly.
And not everybody, but most of the cats did. And then when you study, you took lessons, or some folks would just purely learn by ear. Depending. Yeah, but a band is like is like a stew, a good stew, a good recipe, a stew.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it really takes the right mixture of musicians to get a sound.
Wow.
And so everybody, you don't necessarily need, everybody doesn't necessarily have to be like the best this or the best that or the best this.
Yeah.
But that whatever they add to that formula to make that stew taste good is as important as anything else. And we were fortunate, and that we had and still have, thank God, a good recipe.
Wow, that's good. That's a good analogy, like how you put that together. You know what I mean? That's great. So yeah, you're still performing. So that's a wonderful thing, because there's a lot of groups that's not even performing anymore. We just lost Frankie Beverly, man.
Yeah.
Peace to Frankie Beverly, just lost him.
Because they were our old heads, before Breakwater. Frankie Beverly, Raw Soul,
right,
The Valence, was a Nat Turner Rebellion, and a whole bunch of other bands in Philadelphia because that was the scene, and we came on their coattails.
Wow.
Then Frankie moved out. He moved out to
West Coast,
to Oakland, yeah. Rest is history with them. But cats, even young cats that we grew up with, that were in the bands that we were in, that were our age.
Yeah.
When Frankie Beverly moved out to the West Coast. Yeah, some of the cats that we were our peers wound up playing in his band out there. Billy Johnson and Ron Smith, those cats, they became his rhythm section. So
First Maze, yeah.
Yep, the First Maze. Yeah.
Well, so everyone kind of connected with each other back then.
Kind of, sort of, yeah.
Oh yeah. We were about the music, man. We rehearsed all day long.
Now,
every day.
That's putting in work, and it wasn't easy back then, right? Like you hustled. That was really a hustle back then.
Oh yeah, it was a hustle. It was all about love, man. You had to love the music to really, to be in the band, because it was a commitment. But we didn't think of it as a commitment. It was a blessing to be able to be involved. Yeah.
Well, how did you handle? Well, I'm saying being in a band and having a family. Were you more on a roll, and how did you handle that, juggle your family and being out and in the world and with the band crew? How did you handle that? Either one.
Well, for me, I kind of I guess we the second record, I guess I was mid-20s after the second record. And we moved on from Arista. And we tried to hang, you know what I mean? But basically what you're referring to, family matters and things like that, started coming into play.
Yeah.
And financially, it wasn't feasible to just keep doing that, at least for myself. So I kind of jumped in tech school, learned computers, like off the ground, that was 19. I hate to say how far back, 1983. There were still only mainframes. There were no laptops and stuff like that. Yeah. But anyway, so I jumped into the field and I was able to, go ahead and raise family and move, buy a house and so forth. But I always kind of try to stay connected. I'd always have some recording equipment in my house.
Okay.
So, because I always felt creative and I would always want to put my ideas down, not for any, thinking I could score big on a record, but just for the sake of doing it. And it's a kind of a healthy thing mentally as a musician to kind of get those ideas in. So I always tried to do that throughout, my career. So I ended up working I did 17 years in IT at Prudential Insurance. And then I just finished up 20 years at Vanguard Mutual Fund over here in Melbourne. So I just retired. But yeah, I have a full-blown studio in the basement now.
Wow.
Right. So I'm still trying to still got to do that. And it keeps you young. It keeps you connected.
It does.
You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, about the music scene, it does that. And I'm sure Steve can say the same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's, music is, the business could be rough on a family, you know, and as Gene said, you know, what happened was, you know, the band actually broke up for 30 years.
Yeah.
After a second album.
Right.
And so, you know, folks, you know, a lot of guys, you know, had a chance to just, you know, focus on family and on you know, surviving, you know, on a like a day gig. Yeah. And so, you know, I did kind of like was fortunate to keep my hand in music through the years, but I also did get a day job that to sustain with some benefits and all of that stuff, because you got to have that, man. And unfortunately, the music business doesn't really offer that, you know, unless you are up here.
Yeah.
You know, and it's very few that are up there. You know, the majority.
You've got to be a slave to them.
Right.
To get
right.
So.
You know, so you got to make a way. You got to make a way to take care of your family, you know, because the reality is that family is first. That's really an important part of who we are as men and as humans, you know.
Yes.
But not just men, as humans, because women's the same thing, but family is the utmost importance, I feel. You know, and then here's the thing for me, I was fortunate because I actually didn't get married until I was 35.
Oh, okay.
So,
wow. Right. So you kind of waited a little late, you know.
I waited a little late, you know.
I didn't get married until I was 38.
There you go.
Well, you go.
Right.
Oh, so y'all had a nice little run until that cutoff time.
I was just talking about that last night.
Yeah.
With my daughter. Wow.
Well, that's wonderful though, you know, on both ways, you know, waiting late doesn't matter if you're married. So that's a good thing.
That's right.
That's a great thing.
That's the way God planned it.
That's right. Yeah. So sometimes we may plan, but it don't go as perfect as God does it. So, you know, back then, you know, in those years, who are some of your biggest musical influences and how have they impacted like your own sound and style?
Boy, how long is your show go? First and foremost for me, it'll always be Earth, Wind, and Fire. As emulating, like, kind of, we would look to them and try to
emulate,
have a positive thing in our
Okay.
Whatever we did, whether it be dance music, slow music, or whatever, but have a positive note in what we were trying to say about it. And try to do it in a way with, you know, a lot of singing, you know, a lot of harmony, you know, and good vibes, you know. And that's what, to me, I mean, that's what they did, and they still do.
They still do.
Amazingly enough, you know. But for me, they were like foremost who we kind of look to. At least I do.
Wow, that's.
I mean, there are many others. Steve, I don't know if you want to say who you.
Yeah, well, Earth, Wind, and Fire, most definitely, in terms of the positive message. Yeah.
Well, have you ever?
I had a lot of jazz influence, you know, personally myself as well. So from, you know, Miles, John Coltrane, and, you know.
Yeah, I know John Coltrane.
Thelonious Monk, folks like that. Yeah. But that's one thing that when I got in the band, we were really into like fusion, jazz fusion music. So there is that jazz feel to Breakwater's music because we were influenced by Herbie Hancock, Chick Corea, Weather Report,
Stanley Clarke, right?
Stanley Clarke, Santana.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why, when you mentioned Breakwater, why did you choose the name Breakwater for the band? Is there a meaning behind that name?
Well, in the dictionary, it's actually stated where the ocean meets the bay.
Okay.
And it's usually like, it'll be a strip maybe of coral, rock,
okay,
or that type of thing. and we were paging through for something that sounded cool to us.
It does sound it's cool.
And that's how we ended up there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the breakwaters, they're like a protector. It's a protector of the land.
Of the land.
Exactly.
Yeah. You know, as the waves come in, the breakwaters out.
That's right.
You know, so it stops it down. You know, slows down and forces. It's what it's made for. Yeah.
So that's the story behind the name Breakwater.
Definitely.
Okay. What was the name before that?
The very first band, at least when Kay Williams, who was the leader of the band, and he and I and Vince Garnell, who was also in Breakwater, we were in a band called Chain Reaction.
Chain Reaction. Okay.
Yeah, and it was kind of funny because, like we were saying earlier, the community of musicians kind of like we would like end up playing with this group, with that group at some period of time. For instance, like Philip Lightfoot, who's a drummer of Sister Sledge, Kathy Sledge.
Yeah, Kathy Sledge.
Right, her husband. So at one point he was our drummer. So it's kind of like that. At least it was like.
Was there ever a band while on tour? Was there ever a band that you guys didn't want to go behind or in front? Like how does that work when you know there's a good band out there? Did you ever have that moment where wow, we gotta go after them? How was those moments like that? I always wanted to know that about a band, about a group. You know, were you ever?
Well, you guys got to do you. That's the difference between being a cover band where you're playing other people's music, and an original band where you're playing your music.
That's right.
Because if you are you all you have to do is concentrate on being the best you that there is. Right. So nobody else can be and do what you do. So then you put all your energy into your sound to make that statement, because nobody else can make that statement. They can make their statement.
Right.
And it could be just as powerful, but they can't make your statement when you play original music.
Well said.
And that's what we concentrated on. That's why we became recording act. Because we used to, play cover music.
Like, yeah, sure.
You know, everybody, mandrills and all these other songs. But then when we made the decision to play original music, there was a time when our fans were looking at us like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah.
What's that? What's that?
Now there's a transition. Like, what's going on with that?
Right.
We tried to fuse it in, right?
Yeah.
With the other cover stuff. And then we throw something that we did ourselves and throw it in and get a reaction.
Right.
And see if we were headed in the right direction with whatever that particular song was. But that's how we started writing.
Oh, okay. So that's how.
And then we became committed to just original, and that's where we've been for the last 45 years, something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Something like that.
Original. You know, have you ever performed with like I'm quite sure you have. Like Earth, Wind, and Fire and the Whispers and all these guys. You know, and how was that on the road with all of y'all together, man? Like to know that. Like one of your most memorable stories with those guys that you could think of.
Well, I was just saying this now. I mean, this is a funny one here. Is that do you know who John Lucien is? Was he great? He's a singer. He had this marvelous.
He had a string of hits for a minute.
String of hits, yeah, and he had this really deep baritone voice. Yeah. God rest his soul. But we were doing a gig with him one time. We were just talking about this. We were sitting in the dressing room, and his brother came into our dressing room and said, "Somebody stole my jacket. Somebody stole my jacket." And he's looking at us, and we're like, "Really?
We ain't doing it.
Your jacket? Yeah. Somebody stole my jacket."
He just did he point your fingers like somebody stole it, looking at y'all like
looking at us, right?
Yeah.
It's like, no, man, you barking up the wrong tree, bro.
You're ready to get us some hurt. No, I'm gonna take that. No, but I always wanted to know about them stories because a lot of people have different stories about going on tour with different bands and different groups.
Yeah, we never really had a whole bunch of problem, but what I have a question for you though. Where did you learn about, and how did you learn about?
How did I learn?
How did you learn about us?
Well, I learned about Breakwater about going on to YouTube, checking out the songs, because you have a lot of little clips up there. So I heard the song. When I heard you was coming to the Dell, I was supposed to really like be there, but I couldn't make it. So I went to check y'all out. I do interviews with a lot of different people. I said I need to get Breakwater. They're from Philadelphia. I'm going to do some history on them, and that's what I did.
Okay.
I did the history, and plus from my mother.
I was about to ask you, maybe your parents
and my dad, my father,
all right,
and my uncle Stevie. My uncle Stevie was with the Blue Notes. He used to be with them because now I'm from Francisville, like Morocco. I don't know if you ever heard. Yeah, so they used to
the Mighty Moroccos. Yeah,
Morocco is Fairmount section in Philadelphia.
Right.
Okay.
My dad, because the Blue Notes was actually hanging down there back like years ago. The Blue Notes.
I see.
Yeah. So my father and all of the old heads down there, you know, they used to love playing. All they did was play music, and it was a bar. I'm gonna get to this bar. It's called Kills Lounge. All they did was play oldies all day long, and I used to hang in the bar too, me and my friends. So we was around it, like just growing up.
I see.
I got you. You know, I love going back to. I'm not fully familiar with your music, like knowing the lyrics. But
I understand. Sure.
And I heard some things and I loved it. And I couldn't wait to reach out to you guys. So
that's really cool. That's cool.
Story of that.
Well, you know, we'll be performing October the 27th at the City Winery in Philly.
Yeah, that's downtown. 9th and Silver, like 9th Street, down that way.
9th
yes.
Yeah.
Well, one of them like that, yeah.
Yeah.
I was there too. They had Mickey Howard. I was there when they had
Yeah, Mickey Howard, yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah. So you guys still performing, you're doing big things, you know? And what was the biggest highlight of your career thus far?
Wow.
Well, the biggest, let me see.
I don't know. That's weird. That's a good one.
I think for me, the biggest
musically, just the signing, just actually like signing record.
Yeah,
is what?
I guess I don't know if it's the most emotional thing was hearing the music on the radio, hearing my voice on the radio.
Wow! So that was
the very first time.
Wow!
I'd have to say that was pretty.
How was your reaction hearing that for the very first time?
I just was pretty speechless. I just looked like this. I was pretty speechless.
You're stuck.
Yeah, just stuck.
Stuck like Chuck.
Wow. So that thing is actually wow. I know it was a great feeling to hear your music. I mean, you sitting there listening to your vocals, like wow. You know? So Steve, how about you, brother?
Well, for me, I think there's actually a lot of them, but one that just that stands out for me is just spending time with Carlos Santana and hanging with him and learning like, you know, life lessons and and Miles Davis as well, getting the chance to sit with him and talk, and like Gene said, hearing yourself on the radio. Because I actually, you know, after Breakwater broke up, I became a studio musician at Philly International and wound up playing on a lot of their records down there. So Patti LaBelle, If Only You Knew, Phyllis Hyman, Living All Alone, and Jones Girls, Nights Over Egypt. So playing on those songs and hearing myself on the radio constantly, that was a thrill as well as, you know, as Breakwater. In fact, the first time I heard Breakwater on the radio, I was in Pittsburgh. After Breakwater did their first album, I did a tour with Dexter Wansel. Do you know who Dexter Wansel is?
I don't even.
Yeah, he's Philly International producer, but he had his own albums.
Was he down there with Gamble and Huff?
Gamble and Huff, yeah.
Okay.
And I was in the hotel room after the gig, and there was people around and we were talking and stuff, and the radio was on, and Breakwater came on the radio, and I was like, oh man, this is unbelievable.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, that's a great feeling, man.
I always ask this question because to me it's very it's interesting. Number one, when you guys receive your first payout, what was the first thing you guys buy with that first payout?
It's been so long ago.
Yeah.
I like to pick your brain. See,
Oh my God,
that's why I said
man.
memory lane.
Oh Lord.
Probably
Like
something I wasn't supposed to have.
Wow, okay. But something you can first.
I know I was in love with this leather jacket. Well, back then they had these leather jackets that were patched, different colored patches, right?
Oh wow.
Tight fit joints, right?
Yeah.
I remember that
And
jacket.
You know those jackets, man, right?
They hug you around your stomach.
I had to have that.
Like a trench. One of them trench.
And I can still remember. No shortcut, short waist,
Shortcut.
down the waist, tuck,
Sure,
nice.
rock and roll cut.
Oh man, yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
That's one thing I can identify with.
Wow. Wow. What sacrifices have you all made? And do you regret anything after choosing your career?
I have no regrets.
You can't regret. It's like
I look at it all as a blessing. You know, God works his will into our lives. It could be totally different than ours, but when you look back on where we came from and where we are right now, it's just sweet. It's really sweet. And you think about now, what, 40 years later, was it 44 years? Golly, actually 44, 47 years later, we are still being blessed by the music that we created back in 78 and 80. There's through licensing deals, Reese's Peanut Butter Cup.
Yeah.
They use our song for their commercial. Soda Stream, NFL, Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
So it's a bunch of different things that are
have
recognized in our music now.
Right. I have all of that. If you
have it all. Okay.
I have it all. And that's the wonderful thing too, you know, because that can also last. It can last a lifetime, you know, because from the residuals or from whatever they do, because these people are playing your original music.
Right.
You know, a lot of people also sample some of your music too.
Yeah. A lot of folks.
When they sample it, do they ask you guys, or some people do it and then get sued? Like, because some people just do it anyway. Do they actually come to Breakwater and ask you guys, well, can I use this? Can I use that? Like, how does that?
The major, it's been done twice, like in a major kind of way. And both of those times, they ask.
Okay.
Now, there's other little pieces of stuff out there probably. You know, we see people doing stuff live, which is not a big deal. I mean, which is okay. But the two major things with Daft Punk, I don't know if you know about Daft Punk.
Yeah.
You know the story with that?
I don't know the story, but
Daft Punk from Europe, they sampled our song "Release the Beast," and they had a mega hit.
But they didn't have any permission to do that.
They did. No, our keyboard player did make a deal with them.
Okay.
So luckily from that, yes. So anything the residuals that come from that, we do get our share. Right. And I think the other time was that I can remember, Kindred The Family Soul, I think they're called.
Yeah, Kindred. Yep.
They did a sample of
with Snoop Dogg.
Yes, you know I love it.
Yeah, they actually did a song with Snoop. Yep.
So yeah, but they did talk. We did take care. That was all straight business. Anybody else though? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot of stuff going around out there. So, and it's so easy to copy stuff.
It is. It
is. But yeah, we're seeing our fair share.
Now that's well said. And you guys been out since 70. Wow. I'm gonna say the 70s, right? from
Typically, I would really say, I guess, I was a junior in high school when I met our drummer,
okay.
and that was in '72.
All right. So
So in
70.
'73 is when we kind of really started forming.
Okay.
And then we basically were just doing like block parties and rec centers and stuff like that until we got like, got out there for a
Got
few
out there.
years. And then over the course of that time, we added on. And then we grew up, we added Steve, we added Greg,
Mhm.
and then we signed with Arista, and then we made the record.
And from that time signing with Arista, all the way from then until now, 2024, do you all own your masters or own anything that you put out?
We don't own our masters.
We own our publishing now.
The
Yeah,
publishing?
we have our publishing.
Great, great. You're great.
Luckily,
Mm-hmm.
fair share.
So we got back together after being apart for 30 years.
30 years, yeah.
Then there was 5 of the original members that got back together. That was Gene Robinson,
Sure.
Jimmy Jones, drummer, Greg Scott, saxophone, and John Braddock, Dutch, our percussionist, who passed away last year and whose birthday is today.
Mhm.
Happy birthday,
Wow.
Dutch. God bless you, brother. We miss you. So now there's 4 original members, but we have an 11-piece band. So we've added some young folk to the band.
Okay.
You
Okay.
know, so we got some young fire
Yeah.
along with our classic,
Classic.
thing. So the band is kicking, and we rehearse and we're tight and we're serious about this thing.
I know.
We're not just throwing it together. It's intentional what we
Right.
do, and we are just so blessed to be able to do that at this stage in our lives.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. How do you feel about the music today when you hear this stuff going down? It could be hip hop, it could be jazz, R&B. What is your take on the music out here?
Well,
It's so easily I'm sorry, Steve. It's so easily manufactured. It's like anybody can do kind of like any little thing if you have this much talent.
Yeah.
They have, the way devices are now and the way everything is digital, you can copy things, add things, create your own music without being really the creator.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times. I mean, there are some people who are still doing, trying to do
some original,
whatever, but for the most part,
there is some good music out. There
exactly.
are some good artists, some legitimate young artists that are doing some amazing things and are pushing the envelope and doing quality music as well. My daughter, she's got big ears and she was raised in jazz, so she turns me on to a lot of stuff that I would never have listened to myself. That is actually quite good. And Gene's son is a keyboard player. He's playing with us, Wes, and he's a young monster, young titan. But he's out there now. He's doing his own thing. He had a hit song on Drake.
okay.
Yeah, and so he's producing, and he's got a deal with Sony now, right, Gene?
Yeah, what's Sony? Yeah,
It's a Sony deal right now.
Yeah,
yeah.
So we're proud of him and what he's doing, And Jimmy, our drummer, his son is singing and has a band and opens up
A
for
really
us
good band.
sometimes.
Really
Yeah,
good band.
good band, yeah.
Wow.
And so the offspring, the seeds of breakwater is is flourishing,
Yeah, that's right. It's growing now.
Yes.
The seeds are just getting into everybody, the family.
Yes.
That's wonderful. It's wonderful.
That's
Well,
important.
when you hear this type of music out here today, and some is not good. It's really not. Where do you find the inspiration for songs and music?
I think what happened is because there's a lack of creativity, originality, and creativity.
Yeah.
That a lot of what's going on is they are borrowing from things that already
yeah.
been done. You know, and you have like Bruno Mars and what's my man's name, the drummer?
His name is oh man, we just talked about him too. Anderson Park, I think.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah,
they do,
Pack,
yeah,
Anderson Pack, yeah.
Anson
Yeah,
Pack, right? And they do, you know, they doing like lakeside stuff, and
yeah.
and young people are thinking that that's the first time it ever happened, you know. But you know,
But it's good they're doing that. It's
they
good
doing that. Yeah, they do a
Mhm.
good job doing that.
Mhm.
And but the girl, what's her name? Her, I
Yeah,
really like.
Her,
she's
Yeah,
yeah.
really doing some things with the guitar. She always had a
with the
guitar.
guitar,
Yes.
the bass, 'cause she's
She's
just
all
like
over
all
the
over the
place.
place. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, there are some artists, but there are a lot of fakers. And then because our society now is you know, steeped in social media, you
Mhm.
know, folks are becoming, you know, who play you know, just do things on TikTok or Instagram.
Mhm.
And, you know, people think, oh, that's great. That's great. That's great. And so they're the first people at a lot of promoters, a lot of companies and commercials. They call those folks first, put them out front, you know, because of the fact of how many clicks they have and
I
how
mean,
much.
followers and you're already
Right,
right.
right.
Exactly.
So
Yeah,
that's
yeah, followers and all that nonsense. Yeah.
right. So that's a whole nother thing. So you really don't even have to be good. You just have to be seen.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Basically, that's how it is. It's so easy out here today, just getting a deal. Now, when you guys be watching like the American Music Awards or just the BET Awards, um, how do you feel about looking at that? Because I don't even think it's music anymore. I think it just went straight left field. How do you feel about seeing the stage performances now as opposed to how you guys did it back then? How do you feel about looking at this stuff now? Or does it even bother you?
I shake my head, man. I shake my head because
Doesn't bother me at all. I mean,
it don't bother you, G?
it's like, no, because here's when you see the commercial, they say, okay, music awards featuring blah blah
Yeah.
blah. Blah blah blah. Don't know who
Right.
that is.
I don't even
Blah
know
blah
who
blah.
this.
It's like, I don't.
I don't know none of people.
I don't really.
Yeah, I don't know the
I
name.
don't know these folks, you know. But you still have like we were saying, you still have like Janet Jackson, for instance. She had a great tour.
Yeah,
Usher, he's very musical. He had a great tour.
he's still doing it.
Chicago and Earth, Wind and Fire.
Yeah.
They have a show that they do together.
Mhm,
That's a good tour. You still have that if you want to see it.
mhm.
It's there. You just gotta go find that other stuff. It's
Yeah,
kind of a joke to me.
yeah. Like
It's
a
like
lot of times I don't even watch the award shows.
That's what I mean. You can't.
It's
Why?
like,
Why? I mean,
yeah.
you know.
like last night they had one on MTV. It was like a strip show. It's like you in a strip club on stage.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that whole thing. I don't know
Yeah,
why they
I'm
went
like
like
that whole thing was just crazy.
with all the. But that's the thing that I guess when Michael Jackson really started coming into prominence, like on his own kind of thing,
Yeah.
and they all started having more dancers out, and then more dancers.
Mhm.
You know, so every artist just started emulating that. You know, so it's impossible to come out there without dancers all around. And I'm like, well, if you're the talent, why do you need these girls half dressed?
That's right.
You know what I mean? All around you. If you're really,
Right.
come on, But that's where they kind
But
of
the
are.
thing,
Are with that.
what he was saying is that really, a lot of this comes out of the strip club. These are you know, like
Yeah,
Cardi B and
that's right.
Megan Thee Stallion.
Megan Thee Stallion. I mean, you know, it's like that's
I don't
being
even know what to say.
that's being
That's what I'm
promoted
saying.
on purpose,
Yeah, it's like we
yeah,
really going there,
Yeah.
right,
and then you see them in a McDonald's commercial,
right.
and I'm like,
They have all of the yeah.
so we really it's okay, yeah. It's like,
Wow.
so this is where we are.
Well, we're here now with the iconic group Breakwater. So that kind of erased that. When we hear you guys, we don't have to worry about that. I'm gonna name a couple songs. Work it out, work it out. Feel your way. I don't know if that's the same. Maybe it's connected. You know I love you. Splash down time. That's Let Love In. And then Say
Uh-huh.
You Love Me. Um, out of these songs that you guys wrote, which one was the most difficult to write?
Well, we kind of like did them all together. Our keyboard player, we had a little formula where our keyboard player would get the basis of something,
Mhm.
and I would feed off of that with the lyric. They would mesh the rhythm. They would get the rhythm of what we're doing.
Okay.
Then Greg would figure out what we want to do horn wise and how all that fit. So we had a little formula where we did that. Can't say one was harder or
Well,
easier
difficult.
to
Yeah.
come up with, because he kind of had most of these. He kind of had a vision, you know what I mean? Like kind of like in the same sense of Maurice White, of kind of like what we wanted to portray and what we kind of wanted to say. And just listening to you rattle off the list, you can see we're about love.
That's
It's
right.
it's all about love
That's right.
and togetherness. Work it out, the
Mhm.
whole, and we would just run with that. So, but for me, the most rewarding song, "Say You Love Me," I feel like performance wise as a whole,
Mhm.
that was between that and "You Know I Love You" were two of the best performance wise that we
Performance-wise.
that we did,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Okay. All
And
right.
when we went to Europe, over here, Say You Love Me,
Yeah.
No Limits,
Mhm.
I Love You are real popular, but the song that they went crazy on
Which one was that?
was is Work It Out.
Work it out.
Oh, Work It Out?
Yeah, that was that they had singing the words and
Yeah, they
dancing.
knew
I mean,
that. Yeah, they knew the
yeah,
lyric.
Wow.
yeah,
What I know how that has to be a great feeling for people to sing your lyrics and you're in a whole different country.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
Wow, it's like wow, I made it. Well, you already made it, but just listening to them sing it, it's like wow.
It's goosebumps. You're definitely
Yeah.
correct. It's goosebumps.
Yeah, can we just go back to the group splitting up after Arista Records? What happened to Breakwater and why did you guys depart like you did and then come back 30 years later?
I'd have to say it was we didn't quite have the success we thought to sustain as we got older, because we started, like we said earlier, we started having family. You know what I mean? So it wasn't just us that we were responsible for.
Mhm.
So we started to say, like, well, what are we going to do? And we kind of went, like Steve kind of stayed into it, but he ended up working. We all ended up having to work
Yeah.
because of family obligations and things like that. And I guess when Kay Williams, who was the leader, when he passed, and we gathered to honor him, it was right around the time when a lot of the groups from our period, Kool and the Gang, Mandrill, there's Chaka Khan, these people were all coming back doing it again.
Yeah.
And we just thought, let's try to do this again. We talked about it, and I guess over a period of a few months, we had figured it out and started doing it.
Now, where you
I
got
guess it was something we were all missing,
yeah, there was a void. It was a void somewhere.
like unfinished business kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. Were you all talking within that time period of breaking?
Ironically, no, not a lot. No, not really.
Okay. Okay. So coming back together, was it
Some
all?
of- some of us did.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
From time to time, yeah,
yeah.
but not like
Like Greg Scott, our sax player, and I, we played in a bands together
Yeah.
during that time that we were apart.
So you guys continued to have that
Yeah,
relationship.
and then Jimmy played. I guess
That's right.
he started playing in I have a band called Steve Green and the Elevators, and Jimmy started playing with my band. And it was around the time that Kay Williams passed away, and we were at his funeral,
Mhm.
and some of us hadn't seen each other in a long time,
Mhm.
and we said, let's get together and just have a cookout or barbecue or something like that. And we wound up doing it at Gene's house. And Gene had he had some instruments there, I think, right?
You guys brought your stuff and you set up
stuff. And we had a jam session at the and that jam session kind of sparked something, and we said, well, let's do something else. And before you know it, we were doing a reunion concert at the World Cafe.
At the World Cafe,
yeah. And so we did a reunion concert there, and it was packed, man. It was sold out. And our fans were there, man, with their records and their CDs, and just seeing the joy and the elation on their faces as we were playing this music, because the music is part of their live experience. It's when they first maybe met someone that they love, or when they first
no doubt
school, or it's part of who they are, and we can see that.
Yeah.
And seeing that is really what sealed the deal for us to come together and stay together to this point, because we do it for our fans. We do this for our fans. And fortunately, during the time that we were apart, the whole Daft Punk thing happened during that time. And young people, as you say, you probably seen it on YouTube when you search, young folk, because it said on the Daft Punk's record as performed by Breakwater. And the young folks started doing the research. Well, who is Breakwater? And they started, so now, we started seeing these young folk showing up at our concerts and singing the songs, and they're like super hyped about us. And we're like, you know our music, So it's like we were really blessed in that way as well. So we come together at this point, and we have our season fans, but we also have a new fan base. We're so grateful for all of that, because it didn't have to be, but it is. Praise God.
Yeah, you gotta be grateful that something that you did, for me anyway, and I know for Steve too, something that you did touch people in a way that they just remember it. It takes them where they were. And they tell you about it. They can tell you, when I first heard this, and they really, they're authentic. You know what I mean? And you hear their stories. It's like we were talking about Frankie. If you ever been to Frankie's concert, he couldn't hardly sing anymore, but they still would come in droves and sing along. Because they would just sing, because those songs are so ingrained in
that's right, and memory
in their fabric, And so to me, that's what it's all. That's music. What it's all about.
That's it. Yeah.
Now, in Philly, you guys would I say last month at the Dell, right? Was it last month? At the end of August. August 20th.
Yeah, just at the end of the month, right?
After coming onto the stage, how was the crowd reaction when they see Breakwater step out there?
Oh, they were hyped.
It was really it was good in a couple of ways, because we haven't done that show. They have summer shows at the Dell every year. They have a lineup of people. And we haven't done that in years. So for a lot of people, it was like, finally, even for us, I even felt that way. But so a lot of people were like, it was so short though,
and they were disappointed because
it was so short.
4 songs.
Wow.
But for that moment, it was just fire for them.
Yeah. Wow.
I would say we gave them the hits though. So
of course. You came, you did what you had to do, and you got out there. You know how it go.
They didn't quit it.
They didn't quit it. Would you guys ever consider doing a tiny desk concert? You know how they doing these tiny desk concerts now?
Thought about it. I see, because I watch them, see them. That's something we could do, because we almost did something like that. When we were in London, and they invited us to an interview on the BBC some show because we were about to play that night. So Wes played acoustic piano and I sang along, and I think there was some percussion or something in the room. So yeah, years ago, I guess that's about 7 years ago now. But I could see doing something like that.
Oh, wow, okay.
Maybe.
Great. You said maybe.
Yeah.
Great. Well, you know, many, I say many people, many felt that the musical journey was unfinished with you guys. A lot of people said, no, you know, we need to see more, we need to hear more Breakwater. What are you doing different than how you was doing it when you guys, before you guys broke up? Now that you're back, are you doing anything different, like anything, like any instruments you got, anything keeping up with today's music? Like, what are you doing different as when you guys coming back today in the music? Or is it the same funk style from back then?
Yeah, we're being true to our sound, but like for instance, we were originally an 8-piece band,
Yeah.
but we're an 11-piece band now.
Yeah.
We actually added a female vocalist,
Mhm.
who's Adrienne Ajay, and we have 4 horns. Yeah, so we're an 11-piece band. So we're pretty been pretty consistent to play our music as it is, because here's the thing. Folks want to hear our sound. They don't want to hear us change too much, you know what I'm saying? So we're just trying to honor what we have been blessed with, and to enhance it. We know we do medleys to try so that we can get all of the songs in, because you know at first we put sets together and folks were saying, come to say, well, what about this song? That's my song.
Yeah,
Are you
yeah.
guys ever going to play this song?
Right.
That's my
Right.
song. So
That's what they
we
wanna
tried
hear.
to be, sensitive to that, and to add all the pieces in the set. So for instance, when we play at the World Cafe, we actually do 2 sets.
Okay.
And
Okay.
because so
That
we
way
can
we can get it all in.
Yeah,
get
so
it all
everybody
in.
can hear their songs that they
So
want.
everybody, after we do that, everybody's like, yes, they are spit. They got everything.
That's right. You spend your money. I want to hear that song that I love. You
Right,
know,
right.
some people have that attitude.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, but that's great. And the good thing about it is you guys are still performing. That's awesome.
Yeah.
You know, still energetic. You know, you're still doing your splits and your jumps. No, no, but you're doing your thing, man. And I really appreciate the fact that you're still giving the world what they love. You know, because there's not many out here that's really doing some original music.
You wouldn't have thought, if you asked me in my 20s, where you said you'll still be singing in that band when you're 68, I would have totally laughed at you.
Well, like
I was like, no, I don't think so.
wow.
But it's the greatest thing. It's the greatest thing.
Wow. Besides money, what is success to you and fulfillment in your career?
You want to go?
To me, is to do something that you love,
Okay.
and to be able to do it with a enjoyment, to be around cats that you love to be around,
Okay.
to not have too much drama and stress and all that stuff.
Right.
And to be able to sustain yourself in life. To me, that's success. To have 4 or 5 Bentleys and mansions and
Yeah.
airplanes and yachts, and to be lonely and miserable.
Right.
I mean, to me, that's not success. Yeah. But, to the world, it is.
That's pain.
Look at it like that,
Yeah.
Yeah. But to just be able, and here's the thing is that I find that, as I become, get older and hopefully a little bit wiser, is that where you're at is where you're supposed to be, because that's where you're at,
Where you're at.
and so to live it, You know, I was telling Gene, we're talking the other day, is that the fact is no matter how old we get,
Yeah.
we're not dying, we're living.
Living.
And
Right.
we are living, and we got to keep living and creating and moving and loving and trying to make the world a better place, even in your little world. If you meet people at the supermarket, and you can bring joy and a smile to somebody's face, or you talk to somebody on the phone and you can make their life a little bit, a little brighter, and or like when we do with our music. Before we go out there, we pray before every show that we will bring joy to the audience. That's what we want to do. We want to bring joy to the audience so that if they were coming in feeling like,
Was
stressed
down or
out, or
expressed.
that's going to all leave for the time that we spend together, and they leave out of a Breakwater concert, then we want them to feel happy and easy and light, and
Right.
that's our goal. And when we do that, it reciprocates, because then they give back to us,
That's right.
and the stress and all of that stuff that we carry around gets washed off of us by the music. This 360-degree cycle.
Energy.
Yep.
That energy, that back and
Yeah.
forth. Right about that.
Because like you go out on stage and you might be, thinking about some business,
Yeah.
or nervous about, going on stage or whatever, whatever's going on. But once that music starts and that energy starts flowing, it's just like, hey, let's go, baby. You know what I mean?
It's on. Let's go.
It's on. Let's go.
Right. That's right. You wanna piggyback on that, Gene, or you cool?
Yeah, I'm just thinking, listening to him, because we're next to each other when we go out. When we perform, we're next to each other. So I'll go out and it's like, we're so hyped. He'll look at me and say, yeah, calm down, right? He's like, we got a ways to I have to catch myself.
Yeah.
There's the people they're feeding that.
That's right.
And then I'm like finally getting a chance to get out what I was feeling. So, but you gotta contain it so we can get, don't burn out.
That's right.
So we always look at each
like
other.
Muhammad Ali, like you gotta do the rope dope.
Just chill it down a little bit. Don't. Right? Now the other night, there typically it was only 4 songs, so we could just smack them in the face really quickly, just give it
the 4 songs,
110, and just walk away. And they were like, "Wait, don't leave!"
Right.
And we were done.
Wow. Do you ever accommodated the crowd by standing a little longer if they asked for a song that you guys didn't sing? Did you stay a few times?
It depends. Yeah, sure. It depends on the venue, or what the situation is as far as another band, or we certainly come back out and play again.
And that's one of the reasons we started doing 2 sets, so that we could fill the night up with a lot of music, and do medleys where certain songs are strung together. And then we finish up the second set with the "You Say You Love Me, Girl, do it till the floor gets hot" and splash down, and folks are like, woo.
Wow.
Yeah, they're full, their bellies and their soul.
They're good now. Their soul is nice and full. They good.
Yes.
Like soul food.
Like soul food.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to talk about that Splashdown album. That was one of the biggest albums. I want to say that was one of the biggest albums you guys put out. I could be wrong, but
out of the 2, it did better.
Out of the 2, what was the inspiration or story behind writing and creating the album Splashdown? Because that album was something else.
Well, when you're going to do a project like that, you don't really. I don't think you set out to connect everything, all the dots. You know what I mean? At first, it's kind of like you build it as it goes, and that ironically was the last song we created that we recorded. Is that correct? Isn't that right, Steve?
Yeah,
I think that was the last thing we didn't have what we thought was it was either that or Release the Beast, but it was right near the end. And then once you get that idea lyrically or whatever, then you start getting visual ideas, you know, and then it all becomes just one collaborative thing.
Yeah.
But it's not, but it grows, you know what I mean? It starts off like, and it just it grows into what it becomes over that time.
Plus, when we did the first album in New York, it's some recording in Philly.
Splashdown, I'm sorry, Splashdown was the second album.
Second album, right. For
That was
Splashdown,
West Coast.
we went to Santa Barbara, California.
Right.
And we stayed out there for what, 5 months?
About a month and a half, at least.
It was that long? What?
About a month and a half.
Yeah. So we were.
I'm sorry, Steve, I'm sorry. Can I say one thing? Do you have to go when you're doing an album? Do you have to go away, or can you stay where you are? Because
you can stay where you are.
Why do people leave? Like a lot of people.
Well, now we can do it right here. I can do it right.
But you got the studio.
I was saying, and this will answer your question, is that us going to Santa Barbara was one of the best things, particularly for the Splashdown concept, because here we are, we're out in the West Coast, in the sunshine, the palm trees. Our hotel was right on the beach. We came out of our rooms and we were right on the beach. So the water was right there. There was a music scene that was happening in Santa Barbara at that time that was really vibrant, and we would go and hang out and play and jam with different folks, you know, and Airto and Flora Pareem and Joe Cocker and, you know, just a whole bunch of folks. And so it really added to the feeling. There was a restaurant called the Breakwater Restaurant that we see. So being in Santa Barbara, I think it really added to the concept of Splashdown and where that went, because we were, you know, kind of out of our environment. I think for the first time.
less distraction. You have less distractions.
Right. Okay. And we were in a new place. So that's why people go away or go somewhere to record sometime, because particularly back in the day, you know, when you were at record companies, or the record companies would give you a budget, which you had to pay back, of course. You find
it's a loan, but
you know,
with interest.
With interest.
Right. A lot of groups would go away to record back then, like Chicago.
Yeah, they had their own place.
They had their own place. This
a ranch.
This beautiful ranch that they did to record all their music. And
Caribou Ranch,
Earth, Wind and Fire, they did the same thing. And now today is much different, because people have studios in their houses. You know, people.
Yeah, but now it's how fast
you can record.
It's not about the quality.
Drums. I can record drums here, right? And I could send the drum track to somebody.
Send it to me. I'll sing on it.
Send it to him. He can sing on it. And then send it back, and then we can mix it, and you can never even see each other. You know what I mean? It's different now. Technology is different.
It's the vocals on it.
Right.
Now, is it the same feeling? Now, we from Philadelphia, right? We from Philly. If I'm writing lyrics in Philly, I don't know why crime, you know. So it's like when you start writing stuff and then you write something about your family, but when you leave where you from, just to write a song or an album, is it the same? The same film?
Well, it's in this way, it's different. The song and what your inspiration is to write is inside of who you are. It's you, right? When you get away, sometimes it allows you to be more focused on your thoughts and what it is that you're really thinking or what you're really feeling.
Like free your mind, really.
Free your mind, right? You know, so it gives you a chance to get away from, you know, some distractions to see what it is that is in there, and it works that way.
That's what Jane said. Yep, distraction.
Right. For sure. Yeah, but like now, like we said, you can manufacture them. You can take Send me the track, right? I'll sing, I'll do backgrounds, I'll do the send it back, and then we'll put some horns on it, and I'll never see you. And it'd be done in 3 weeks, 2 weeks. But that to me, yeah, it's not quite not like it was when we would actually try to sit down and figure things out.
And the difference as well is that, for instance, if you listen to, just say, Santana's album, right, or Earth, Wind and Fire, or Miles Davis, or John Coltrane, or anyone who Sarah Vaughan, or Patti LaBelle, if you listen to their album, every time you listen to it, you hear something different or you feel something different. And it's because, here's the difference. When we used to record music in recording studios as a rhythm section, or as a horn section, you have live musicians who are breathing, who are drinking coffee or talking, laughing, whatever going on in that space. That breath, that life comes over into the music. It's recorded. You can't hear it, but you can feel it.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? So every time you listen to it, you feel it's life. You feel it. You can hear the breath. You can feel the breath. It's like blood on the dance floor. I mean, it's there. The new music, there's no breath. A lot of it is synthesizers. There's a lot of it is folks that are not even, they're just pushing buttons. So you hear it, and it may sound good the first time, but it's not going to be something that lasts a step, the sands of time, so that you hear it 20 years from now, you'd be like, right? But if you hear music with real musicians, with that breath and that pulse of this is something real, you hear it, it sounds fresh, and you just like, wow, it's breathing, it's alive.
Originality, man. You're right.
Yeah, we could easily do shows with one horn, our original horn player, and eliminate 3 horn players, and do that have a keyboard player emulate the horn parts on a keyboard. We could easily do that,
or have background vocals recorded.
Yeah, but we're not. That's not.
There's a lot of.
That's not the aim.
Because it's easy that way. It's easy just to do it that way, but that's not.
And then people realize it, and we try to make sure we let people know that. Appreciate that. There's a live horn, right? And they, most of the folks, they realize and they appreciate.
Well, Gene, since you have the built-in state-of-the-art studio in your home, how often do you guys work?
See, I haven't. I had back surgery in June.
Oh, okay.
And I had a few complications from it. So I have a bunch of stuff down there that needs work. And I haven't been down there to do it because I'm just recovering. Okay. And then Steve and I were just talking about doing some things. We want to keep doing stuff. It's not like we're just, we love what we did, but to keep moving, like he said, to keep living musically, we got to keep, creating. Right. So that's there for me waiting to get back to work. I have a couple of things that are really, really good. But what I'll do, I'll try to make it as complete as I can. Yeah. Things that I do, and then present it to the band, for input and other collaboration, and see what we come up with.
But it's in the making, right?
Yeah, definitely. And we have a few things that we've done already that haven't been exposed yet, that we haven't put out. At any moment, we could really put those out too.
You can launch it, but you're waiting for a minute.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, I know the music was going to be great when you put it out.
Yes.
I'm not going to keep you guys long. What's the musical marketing strategy that you try to you try to do in the industry, or the label wouldn't let you. So what is one thing that you tried to do, some kind of marketing strategy that you presented to the label and they wouldn't let you do it? Do you have anything like that?
That's so long ago.
We're not with the label now.
Yeah, we don't.
Yeah. What
Yeah,
we do
it's
now.
independent. We're
Yeah.
independent, so that's yeah, I can't.
But when we initially signed with Arista for our records, Clive Davis was, who signed us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Clive's thing was that he wanted every song to be a hit single. That's how his, so there were songs that didn't make it on the records that we as the band think, should have been there, but it didn't make it, so
these are songs that the execs, they actually listen to your album and they pull these songs out, say, no, we don't want that. We don't want this. How does that go when you lose?
right. Or they listen to the demos that we make of the song.
Oh, okay.
And then decide not to use it.
But you believe that those songs would have been the ones.
Yeah.
You never know. Is that kind of thing? You never know. And then there's always hindsight.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
for instance, even bringing like songs to us written by other writers.
Yeah.
There was a couple songs. In fact, one of them was very good. No Limits was bought to us by this writing team called Gray and Hanks.
Yeah, that's not our song we wrote.
Yeah, so we didn't write that one.
All right. Yeah. All right. Well, can we just go back to London, Brooklyn Bowl? Just tell me about that moment.
Well, it's funny. The Brooklyn Bowl didn't happen, which is the weirdest thing. We went on.
They had to move, right?
Right. They had
it was scheduled there, and they moved.
Yeah.
Then they moved it. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. But that was exciting to be able to go over there. Well, that was our first time in Europe and to
in England. I don't know what it is about London or just England in general. It's in Europe. I guess I should say Europe in general, but more London than anything. The appreciation of music is different than it is here. The folks seem to really appreciate and attach to.
Appreciate. That's right. That's right.
And they have an old school following. They have internet radio stations that play nothing but old school and older school type music. And they really, really they're big on that kind of. Wow. They brought their kids because they introduced their kids to our music. So they brought their kids and said, "This is who I've been, listening to, raising you to." So yeah, that was really special.
And it seems like to me that it's kind of like we used to be like that in the States more, where you get a record and you buy an album and you play the music and you sit there and you look at the album and you read the liner notes.
You take it home
and you look on the back and you see who played on what.
Yeah. The
credits. So that's one. And it's like the fans over there still do the work to connect.
Wow.
They still do the work to connect, and it was just is appreciate that because artists work hard to connect with an audience, but I think now audiences, particularly here in the States, they don't work so hard to connect with artists. If it's not something that they hear immediately or that is not popular on, TikTok or whatever, or, if it's not like, Beyonce.
Wherever they get their music from, right?
They're not going to do the work to find, to really dig in to feel, what's this? Okay, what else? What else do they have? You know what I'm saying?
The leg work, they're not.
Yeah, and I'm generalizing, and I shouldn't generalize, but I see it more than not. There are folks who still, do it. do the work, but it really makes an artist feel appreciated
Right.
for someone to have done the work, to know, what they've done, and to acknowledge them, and not have to the artist to have to say, well, they don't know us here, or
Right.
we're not that pop. You know what I mean?
Right. That's right.
Yeah. I mean, I remember we were in Blackpool, which is like a beach resort town, right across from the channel to Ireland. And we were standing out in front, drummer and I were standing out in front of the venue that we were playing at, and we're just talking and looking around, and I hear someone say, "Steve." And I didn't pay no attention, because I'm like, don't nobody know me over here, right? And Steve, hey, Steve.
Said it again?
And I'm looking at Jimmy, and Jimmy's looking at me. I'm looking around, and this guy is talking to me.
Wow.
Steve Green.
He was a fan?
He was a fan. He came from Ireland to the show. But the thing is, for some reason, and I don't know how, I guess he did his homework or something, he told me that was a great, I love the work that you did with the Jones Girls, he said.
He did his research. That's why.
I'm like, here I am in this town, and then this guy is going to call my name and then acknowledge something that I did,
Right.
and
That's right.
And I was like, thank you very much. But it made me feel like about the audiences over there that, they really have done
that's a diehard fan. I mean, that's somebody that really digs it. He digs deep.
Yeah.
But sometimes it can be a gift and a curse with those type of fans at times. Because you get stalked sometimes.
Yeah,
you know, you don't know. But fellas, before we close, I just want to ask, how do you describe the music that you all create?
Meaning,
when you hear, I hear pop, I hear funk.
Oh, definitely.
Like if you can sum it all up, how do you describe the music that you create?
Yeah, you definitely got a pop in there. It's a
groove.
It's a funky jazz pop kind of thing.
Yeah.
Funky jazz pop. I just hate to be labeled. I hate for people to say, "Oh, they're the funk band." No, we're not the funk band. We play funky, but we have love, and we talk more about love than anything.
I'll say love. I say it's love.
Not love, yeah. But the thing is that we played funky.
We do. Yeah,
so long. We will funk.
I know it's
undeniable.
I know. Listen. I thank you guys, Gene, Steve, the iconic group BREAKWATER. I thank you so much for coming to A Vision Media Broadcast to hang out with me, so I can learn more about you guys. I thank you so much for that. And it's
no worries. It's definitely our pleasure.
It's our pleasure, brother.
Real.
And much success with your show, man, and continue to get those clicks, man, to get them.